things change, but the one thing that's consistent in the NFL is that things are always changing. The car news did come as a surprise when I heard it, but I'm always an optimistic guy, and I look at things as opportunities, right? So
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It never is. I would never do that to you guys. I bring it every day here on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Fezzik was amazing on yesterday's Even Money Betting Podcast. I think he had bets on 6 different sports. We'll forget for a second that he thinks the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars are in the same division. We'll move on from that. Next week, by the way, Fezzik will have a lot of his Week 1 NFL bets on the Even Money Betting Podcast for those of you that want to check that out. I am Ross Tucker. The wisdom today comes from my guy, Justin Reid. Man, is he impressive. Met him out in LA at the Broadcasting and Media Workshop. Not surprised at all by the career he is having so far. Just signed with his hometown New Orleans Saints. Looking forward to talking with him. There is a decent amount of news since Monday to get to. The trade went through between the Niners and the Eagles. A huge retirement for the Detroit Lions. We got Saquon on the Madden cover. We'll get to all that a little bit later. As a reminder, this show's 3 times a week in the offseason, 5 times a week, daily, Monday through Friday during the NFL season. We also have the Fantasy Feast where we're doing best ball rankings. The College Draft Podcast is excellent. Andrew Brandt has his Business of Sports. We love those of you that rate and review the show. That's huge. Or subscribe to the audio download or youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL, or share on social media. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. It's a great way, by the way, to be a winner, so I can send you something real nice in the mail. Anyway, let's get to it with Justin. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
Had a chance to meet this guy at the broadcast workshop out in LA at NFL Network. He's had an awesome career. Very, very impressive. And he's going to have a successful career in the media if that's what he wants to. He's going to be successful at whatever he wants to do after football. But he just signed another new deal, this one with the New Orleans Saints. It's Justin Reid, their safety. Justin, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely, bro. Happy to be here, and good to see you again, my guy.
Of course. So I want to start with this, just going back home. I mean, I know you're from Louisiana, but you went to Stanford for college, Texans, Chiefs. What's that like? Give me the pros and cons, if there are any cons, of being back in Louisiana.
Yeah. Well, the biggest pro is coming back a little bit later in my career. I think if you come as a young guy, being a hometown kid, when you're still wet behind the ears, coming into the NFL presents a lot of challenges for guys that are in that situation, being pulled in a lot of directions, and just being trying to handle all of it. But coming now in the year 8 and getting a chance to go home to where the NFL is, I'm well into my career with it, and the NFL is I'm used to the ebbs and flows of what a season is like. But now to have all that support from family and some help, especially with my newborn daughter, it's been tremendous.
Oh, that is awesome, man. So you have a newborn baby. Are your parents or family still in Louisiana to help out?
Yeah, I'm actually I'm a bike ride away from where my brother Eric's house is, down the street in New Orleans. So we pop over to each other's places all the time.
That is huge. It's funny. You don't realize it until you have kids, how helpful it is to be around family. That it's almost like you planned it out, man. That you got this thing mapped out pretty good.
Yeah, well, just a little bit of luck just comes along the way with that. That things just happen to work out, and man, it's been pretty cool.
Do you think, Justin? I can't remember if we talked about this in LA or not. Do you think there's any chance that you would live there when you're done? Because I always tell guys, man, if you can finish up where you think you want to live after football, to get other stuff rolling, that is like the ideal scenario.
Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance. There's a lot of things here that obviously love about Louisiana growing up here. But there's also a lot of opportunities other places I've been to. So I haven't made any type of a hard decision on where I want to be yet. I'm just going to continue to play out my career and, let the chips fall they may.
So, you are back there, but you didn't follow your brother at LSU. You went to Stanford. You took a path less traveled, especially for a Louisiana kid. Why Stanford rather than going to LSU or somewhere in the SEC?
Well, a bit of it was just trying to get from beneath my brother's shadow. As much as I loved him and looked up to him, like my whole high school career, I was never Justin Reid. I was always Eric's little brother. And I wanted to be able to blaze my own trail. But the even bigger reason above that is that the situation at Stanford just made so much sense. Not only with the university itself and all opportunities that come along with that post playing football whenever that comes. But my brother at the time was playing for the 49ers. He was down the street. My mom was a travel nurse who, for the last 10 years up to this point, was working in Oakland. And then Dwayne Aquina was a coach that I really resonated with, former DB coach of the Texas Longhorns, right prior to me coming to Stanford. It made a ton of sense. And I just grabbed the opportunity with both hands.
Justin, you've had such a terrific career that I think I forgot that you were a third round pick. I'm sure this happens to you, but people kind of get you and your brother confused. And you've had
Mhm.
such a terrific NFL career that I forgot that you were a third round pick and the fifth safety off the board, even though you left after
Mhm.
your third year. Do you know? I mean, I saw your testing numbers were awesome. Do you know why you fell a little bit? And have you used that in your career as motivation? Because obviously here you are already on a really nice third contract.
Yeah, absolutely. I use it as motivation. I mean, every team in the league besides the Texans who didn't have a first or a second round pick and never thought I'd actually be there in the third round. Every team passed on me twice, some teams more than twice. So I absolutely use that as fuel. Um, I don't know, things happen in the draft that, you know, sometimes never have a logical reason. I had a first round grade. My testing scores were awesome as far as the combine. And I had a pretty good college career, but everything happens for a reason. And looking back on it, I wouldn't have changed any of my experiences because it made me the player that I am today.
And now you are back in New Orleans. How much of it was just they had the best contract? How much of it was maybe getting a chance to go back home? Give us the reasons why you chose the Saints.
Yeah, well, the money always matters. That's just a fact of life that this game we don't get to play forever, and the money definitely makes a difference. And the Saints came in strong and were contenders financially, but also the situation of having that presence and that help. And at the time that I was a free agent making this decision, my daughter was 2 months old, and then you start thinking about the chance that she'll have to be able to grow up with some of her cousins, being in a place that's familiar. I know Louisiana, obviously grew up here. And just opportunities to come in and rebuild a culture are all just pretty exciting.
Wow, that is awesome, man. It's interesting when you signed, I'm assuming you thought Derek Carr would be the quarterback and that, the thought process I would imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, obviously, was that, you guys would have a chance to be big time, competitors in the NFC South, very winnable division. Just curious as to how things have unfolded with Carr, and looks like you guys will have a young quarterback. Just kind of your mindset now with where the Saints are, maybe different than what it was when you signed there.
Yeah, things change, but the one thing that's consistent in the NFL is that things are always changing. The car news did come as a surprise when I heard it, but I'm always an optimistic guy, and I look at things as opportunities, right? So I see the place where we are now as an organization is similar to, I'm going to use the Texans because I played there early in my career, similar to what the Texans went through when I was there. And Deshaun Watson moved on. You're looking for that next franchise quarterback. And, after a couple of swings at bat, they were able to find CJ Stroud. And now look where that organization is at and, the future that they have. So that's a little bit what I feel is where we're at right now is we have some young guys that have an opportunity in front of them. And, we're looking for the guy that's going to grab it with both hands and be a leader for this organization. Like, nobody ever would have thought that the Commanders last season would have been playing an NFC championship game behind a rookie quarterback. But Jaden Daniels came in very strongly, especially towards the end of the year when the games mattered most, and led that team. So I expect that there is to be some growth early in the season. But as long as we're getting things right by October, November, December, and give ourselves a chance to make it to the postseason, I think there's always something special you can make out of that.
Justin, what's been your early impression of Kellen Moore so far, the new head coach down there in New Orleans?
Oh man, his energy is awesome. I'm really familiar with him as an adversary, having played against him 7 times from when he was coordinator with the Chargers, and then a couple of times with the Eagles. I think I even played him once when he was with Dallas. So familiar with this scheme as far as a defensive player, but just his abilities as a coach and a leader, bringing enthusiasm, energy, setting up his offense to put guys in position that use their talents to give the team the best chance for success. I think that he's the right man for the job, and it's been cool working hand in hand with him.
I think you and I talked about this out in LA. It's interesting. I want to get to a couple of Chiefs questions, but you go from the Chiefs, where you're in the Super Bowl every year, to the Saints now, where obviously, especially with Derek retiring, the expectations aren't that high. What's that like for you? Do you look at that like, oh man, this stinks, or is this an opportunity for you as a leader to go from an organization where Kansas City, where you were, I think what were you 3 for 3 playing in Super Bowls there in
Yeah,
Kansas
yeah,
City,
3 Super Bowls in a
and now
row.
you're in New Orleans.
Yeah, everything's always an opportunity, man. I think if you ever look at a situation and you're negative about it, you're not looking at life the right way. So there's always an opportunity here. And the way that I look at this is I get to come to a team that I grew up watching and, in a moment where I probably could have the greatest impact on the culture and direction of the franchise. Like Kansas City, I played a big role there and, I brought a lot of leadership. But the culture there was already established. They already won a Super Bowl prior to me getting there. And, I was just a continuation of helping that dynasty continue to be a dynasty. But here is an opportunity to totally change the direction of the franchise and really leave your mark and help set a culture. And, you can honestly be remembered in a state that I grew up in. So I think that is really cool. And I'm a guy who loves to go to work and, we're going to be going to work a lot.
It's funny, Justin. I think it got overshadowed, but correct me if I'm wrong. You were balling in the Super Bowl, right? I mean, I was there. I took my family to the game, and I swear every time Saquon got the ball, you were like running the alley and blowing him up for nobody ever talks about that when the team gets blown up in the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
when the team
Yeah.
loses by 30 points or whatever it was. But all I remember is I was at my tickets were in the end zone. I took my family because, all Eagles stuff. And every time it looked like Saquon had a chance, you were firing the alley and lighting them up. I mean,
Yeah.
you had a good game, right? I mean, had they may ever
Yeah.
acknowledge
Yeah.
that to you?
Yeah. It's probably the reason that Kellen signed me. I was probably giving them enough problems during that game. They was like, oh yeah, we can use them. But I had a good game. Unfortunately, didn't have a good game as a team. But again, it's the same feeling that I have now playing for the Saints because during the Super Bowl, which happened to be in New Orleans, I got to play in my home state in front of a home crowd. I got to bring my home family. So I was juiced up and fired up for it, and I think that showed on the field. And it's the same thing for all of our home games this year.
Yeah, I mean, you were seeing things. It's not easy for a safety to have all these tackles for like -2, -1. You must have been seeing things very, very clearly, man. What do you think happened to like the rest of the team in that game? Is there anything you could put your finger on, really, or not really?
Yeah, you know what? I think that the Eagles overall were just dominant. They're just the more dominant team. I don't think that we had our best day overall as a team. I think that the Eagles being able to create pressure with the four-man rush and drop seven every time and cloud up all the zones and still create all that pressure on Patrick was just really, really difficult. You ask any defensive coordinator and says, hey, if I can get pressure with four and drop seven every single time, you're probably going to have a really strong defensive performance. And, they came in firing and they stepped on the gas early in the game and they never took it off. And you can only respect the team that puts up a performance as dominant as what they did. We just didn't show up the way that we needed to that day.
So obviously you're thinking a little bit about the post-football stuff, even though you just signed this awesome 3-year contract. Says a lot about you that you already went to the broadcast workshop and you're already at least thinking about it. Is that something coming out of it? What was your biggest takeaway? Is it something you came out of thinking, I definitely want to do this, or maybe not, or maybe in combo with something else? I'm curious. We did not get a chance to talk about this.
Yeah.
Just kind
Yeah.
of what your biggest takeaways from the broadcast workshop were.
Yeah. Well, I really like putting on suits and I like talking ball. So if I could do something in the studio analyst or the color commentary part of a broadcasting, I think that would just be so fun and be a cool way to stay close to the game and still be able to talk about football. And, it'd be a lot of fun. Learned a lot of good things. Got to talk to my guy Ross here, and he got to break me a few pointers, especially on the radio side of things, which is tremendously more difficult than I ever thought it would be. I mean, to be able to paint a picture only with words and not be able to draw pictures on a screen and try and illustrate what you're talking about is a tremendous skill set and one that I didn't realize takes a lot of tuning and craftsmanship to get there. But other things I learned is just stage presence. I've always felt like I've been good at enunciation and speaking, but also just being able to deliver a message with concise words. And yeah, just continue to grow.
In all sincerity, Justin, I said it earlier, and I didn't know you at all till I was out there and we were on those buses together or whatever. Man, I would buy stock in whatever you choose to do in your post-football career, just the way you carry yourself. And you're right. It's something that I had to improve upon. I write at the top of my notes for every game diction because I sometimes I actually put slow diction because I get so excited. I'll talk fast and like some of my words won't be that crisp or clear, but you do enunciate very, very well. So you already got that part of it down as well. What's your brother doing these days? I never even asked you.
Yeah. Yeah. The enunciation was a credit to Mama Reid because she was on my tail since I was a kid about speaking clearly because it's the same thing. But my brother now, he started a company called Vendisco. That's a food distribution company. And he's getting that up and running. And he just bought a commercial building a couple months ago. So they're getting ready to start operations out of that. So it's pretty cool.
That is awesome. Justin, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Best of luck. Hopefully I get a chance to do a Saints game or two this year and get a chance to see you in person. Really looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely appreciate you, my dude.
I can't believe it's June already and we're a couple months away from NFL preseason games. Listen, Smirnoff's perfect for the summer, for those preseason games, because Smirnoff, we do game days, even in the off season. Listen, you heard it all season long. The fun doesn't stop now. Smirnoff knows there's no I in football. It's a we thing. Good drinks, good folks. That's what the summer's for, hanging out with family and friends. Grab a bottle of Smirnoff at your local retailer and head to Smirnoff.com. They have some really cool recipes of delicious cocktails perfect for game day. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross, some news around the league. Lions center Frank Ragnow, he is retiring after 7 seasons in the NFL, and Ronald Darby is also hanging up his cleats after 10 years in the league.
Two very separate conversations. Darby was kind of done. He was at the end. But 10 years for any NFL player at any position is a heck of a career. I wanted to get there so badly. I think I probably would have if it weren't for the injuries, but that's what a lot of guys can say. So kudos to Ronald for getting there. That is a heck of an accomplishment. Ragnow, this news is huge. Now, I love Frank Ragnow as a player, as a person. I got a chance to talk with him before several Lions games the last couple of years. He had a torn ligament in his toe, like turf toe, right? In his big foot. That was so bad, Jack, it's inoperable. He had an inoperable torn ligament in his foot that he would somehow, I'm assuming, shoot up and play on game days. I'm also assuming that that thing's just getting worse and worse. And so after 7 years, you're talking about an all-pro and Pro Bowl center. It just didn't respond well enough this offseason for him to feel like he could do it again. Man, I got respect for that guy. And I think he's making the right decision for his family to call it quits now. But that's a huge loss for the Lions. I mean, the interior offensive line for them has been a strength in recent years. Now, no Zeitler, no Ragnow. They got major, major questions.
Eagles running back Saquon Barkley. He's on the cover of Madden 26, and he's got 99 overall rating.
You were so excited by the Madden. Like, do you still love Madden? Like, are you that into it?
I don't play much Madden because I primarily play college football, and I only have so much time, so I choose college football over Madden.
Why?
I just like the dynasty mode, like recruiting the players. The gameplay is different. I feel like it's more accurate in college football because it's newer.
Well, at any rate, of course Saquon's a 99. It'd be comical if he wasn't. He had arguably the best season by a running back ever, and I mean that, ever. And then he should definitely be on the cover of Madden. And the backwards hurdle is incredible. You know, watching them make that behind the scenes and stuff. And by the way, the Madden curse is over. You look in recent years, Mahomes won the Super Bowl. Brady, I don't know if he won the Super Bowl, but he played awesome. You know, certainly Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, MVP caliber season that they were on the cover. That whole Madden curse thing is over. Kudos to Saquon. He deserves it.
Staying in Philly, pass rusher Bryce Huff. He was officially traded to the 49ers, and the mid-round pick is a fifth-rounder that can turn into a fourth.
We finally found out the what pick it was. It doesn't really change much. It's about what I thought it would be. For the Eagles, it was a sunk cost. So to get $8 million back and a fifth-round pick, maybe a fourth-round pick, is great. For the Niners, if he plays as well for them as he did for Robert Saleh with the Jets, that'll be well worth it, giving up a fifth-round pick and what they're paying him. So could be a trade where it's a win-win for both, which is the whole idea and concept of a trade in the first place.
Bunch of transactions. The Titans, they signed running back Tyrion Davis-Price. Steelers tight end Donald Parham, he tore his Achilles. C.J. Stroud, he is not throwing at OTAs for the Texans. 49ers, they waived their offensive tackle Nicholas Petit-Frere, and Vikings legend Jim Marshall has passed away at the age of 87.
Well, so Tyrion Davis-Price was really good in the preseason last year for the Eagles. I was a little surprised they cut him earlier. Not sure what happened there. The Parham injury, you hate hearing those non-contact injuries during OTAs. Supposedly, that's heating up again their trade talks with the Dolphins for Jonnu Smith. Keep an eye, Jack, on C.J. Stroud not throwing, okay? They never say they're worried about it until they're worried about it. Just keep an eye on that. It's not good. I don't care what they say. It's not good that for whatever reason he can't throw a football. They don't want him throwing footballs in May. As for Petit-Frere, that's weird. Guy started a lot of games last year for the Titans. Can't even make it through OTAs with the Niners. As for Jim Marshall, holy cow, man. He started 270 straight games. 270 straight games. I want to say like 3 decades, like 60s, 70s, 80s. I'd have to go back and actually look at the years, but absolutely incredible. Speaking of Vikings fans, by the way, totally unrelated. I've seen all these things pop up on my Google alerts. Ross Tucker report, the Vikings are down on J.J. McCarthy. It's unbelievable how things get twisted. First of all, It wasn't a report, okay? It was just logic. Tom Pelissero was on the show a month ago. He knows the Vikings as well as anybody. He said that they actually offered Daniel Jones more guaranteed money, which means Daniel Jones got over $13 million in guaranteed money offered from the Vikings. I don't know if that was to start at the start of the year, to compete with J.J. McCarthy, just to be the backup. It doesn't matter. No matter what, they have some doubt on some level about J.J. McCarthy. Otherwise, they wouldn't offer Daniel Jones over $13 million fully guaranteed. Period. End of story. It is June, people. You know what that means? It's Labatt Blue Light season. They got that nice lime flavor too, by the way. And it's buy beer, get gear from Labatt. Go to this website, okay? It's rewards.labattusa.com. Sign up. Just throw your email in there. And then anytime you buy Labatt, which should be a lot, upload your receipt. You'll get incredible merch. Just go to rewards.labattusa.com to see the sweet merch they have, because it is awesome. Rewards.labattusa.com. You can hear all about it, but just go check out the merch first. I'd also say, Jack, this is a good time for me to remind everybody, we love winners. We love answering email questions. We'll have Greg Cosell on tomorrow's show. But if you go to the sponsor page at rosstucker.com, we have great discount codes for all kinds of sponsors. You, of course, can just comment on us on social media, Ross Tucker Pod, at Ross Tucker NFL, on any of the different platforms. Just comment or reply or whatever. Love it all. And then, of course, those of you that give us a comment on YouTube, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network on Samsung TV Plus, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. It's by far the best Father's Day gift ever. I know for a fact your dad loves the newspaper. He's never been on the cover, never had a story written about him. Myfrontpagestory.com. BackOfficeScheduler.com, HumanHeadNYC.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.